Okay, so welcome back. What we're going to be doing now is looking at setting a default language for this system, and then we're going to go ahead and create links that allow the user to switch between languages or choose which language they want to, view the site in. Now, at the moment, we have the problem where we don't have a default language. Now, at the moment, this isn't a problem because we're always going to have a session stored. But inside the init, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and say session_destroy. And then I'm going to kill the script just there. So this will basically remove the session. We're not executing anything after this. But now I'm going to go ahead and get rid of these two lines. Now there's no sessions. This assumes that the user's visited the site for the first time, hasn't picked a language or anything like that. When I press enter, we get all these errors. And that's essentially because, first of all, we've got an undefined index lang, no files been included, so no language file. This will be on line 10. So that is, so this here, no language has been defined, so it's trying to access a variable, value within a session called language. The next problem we have is we obviously can't include the language file. It's trying to include lang/.php because we've got no language specified, and then we've just got an exclamation mark because before this should be hello. And again, we've got this undefined variable on line 4 trying to, echo this value out. So what do we do about this? Well, we need to go ahead and we need to include an else if statement. And the else if needs to say, let's look at the first line first. So if this language has been specified and it's allowed, go ahead and set this session, and then we include it later on here. Otherwise, if we don't have a set session, go ahead and set the default language. So if $_session, if is set $_session and lang. If this is equal to false, that means that the user visited the site for the first time or closed it off and has opened it back up again, and they don't have a language set. We need to go ahead and force this session to have a default language. So lang is equal to English. So now we have set a default value. When we view this page now, we go to the default English. Then the user can go ahead and specify another language if they wish. And then when we go back there, it remains. So now let's go ahead and make this a bit more usable and create some links that actually allow the user to select some data. So I'm going to go ahead and just keep this up here on one line. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to create two links here. In fact, we'll do it in an unordered list for semantics. So we are going to have the two pages that we currently have on our site, just so we can flick back and forward. So I'm going to have home, which is index.php. So go ahead and copy this line down, and we'll say menu, for example, and this will be another page, and that will just have coffee on it, which is fine. Now what we want to do is I'm going to create another unordered list. Now this is obviously going to look messy and it's nothing to do with a great design or anything like that, but it will enforce my point. So the first language is English, and this one is German. So what do? Where do we link the user? Well, we link them to we don't link them to index.php. We link them to lang equals English. Now, why do we just link them to ? Well, what this is going to do is, because we're including this core file on every page, this will mean that whatever page they're on, it will just append this query onto the end of the URL. So whatever page they're on, they can sort of translate that page, if that makes sense, and then other pages that they visit will also be translated. So here we can say language equals German, and that's it. That's all we need to do. So on English, on the English page, I'm just going to go ahead and echo out lang hello, and then I'll comma separate that with an exclamation mark. So on the home page now, we have English, German, home, menu. Let's go ahead and just pop this into an include file of its own. So it's not that confusing, but we'll pop that in, I don't know, menu.php. We'll just make it a bit messy. So I'm going to go ahead and in here I'm going to, in fact we can get rid of this now, and we can get rid of this, and we'll pull that down, and we'll include menu.php. The reason I'm doing require and include, by the way, is require has different error reporting if the file can't be found. Really, I guess you could require both, but that's just a mention in case anyone wondered. So we've still got this menu, and we can go ahead and we can include this menu file on our other page. So let's go ahead and do that. And now we can switch between home and menu, home and menu. That's a bit confusing, menu, but you know what I mean, coffee on the menu. But we can also now go ahead and specify the language. Now if you look at the bottom of my browser, you can see we've got english.php lang equals English, and the same here when we hover over lang equals Deutsch. If we go to menu, we're on another page, we now get another page.php at the bottom, lang equals English, and the same with German. So I can translate this to English, back to German, to English. I can go home, menu, we're still on English. I can go home, translate to German, and there we go. We've got a flexible system that allows us to translate our site. Now, as I mentioned, this is working in sessions. You can, of course, do it in cookies to allow this to last a lot longer. So you can specify the time that the cookie expires. Obviously, if the user clears their browser cache or cookie information, that will no longer be valid, but it's a lot more of an effective way. Go ahead and implement this with cookies or however you want to implement it. That's going to make it unique to your users. But that's essentially how to translate pages quickly and easily in PHP.